Solo Josh in the house. Wednesday, January 9th, 2019. No shit my money. A little bit under the weather. Maybe too much partying after banking a tournament. I get it. Congrats to him. Mr. Digi. Cool. I didn't have to refresh to see when y'all started. If it's a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, just assume it's like 5 minutes late because Adam's computer's doing Adam's computer stuff. But when it's solo, I hit my mark on the dot. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody had a successful Tuesday slate. Hope you had your shares of Andrew Wiggins and Kelly Oubre and Landry Shamet. Probably didn't have that one. Ownership will be posted shortly. Let's get the plugs out of the way first, and then we can get into breaking down what looks to be a slate that I haven't counted the games yet for. 10. Classic 10 gamer. As usual, we are brought to you by Thrive Fantasy. I don't have Thrive Fantasy on my current overlay, so let's just switch to this one for a second. Ship my money, not here. We'll leave the little gap in there. Actually, you know what? We can leave it on here. This is fine. Ship my money, missing in action. I dropped the link in the chat already. If you go to bit.ly, or that's how I say it at least, ly/Awesemo, you can sign up at Thrive Fantasy. You can get $10 on your first $10 deposit, $20 on 100, and $50 on 200. Look at me getting that off the top of my head. Thrive Fantasy is a new site in the DFS space, and it's based on props. So you get a list of 20 player props, whether that's picking over under points, assists, rebounds, steals, blocks, or some of those things added together. You get a certain amount of points, total of 200, usually 100 on each side, but there's some shading. You got to pick your best 10. It's a really interesting way to play DFS. It helps to take a look at those props and use a set of projections to make sure you're sort of calibrated correctly. At the end of the show, I'll go through 5 of my favorite Thrive props. We'll take a look through my projections and see where they stack up. And if you're interested in joining Awesemo.com, you can use the promo code NBA Strategy. One big word when signing up, and you can use that on any package whatsoever, including packages that have Fantasy Cruncher. And you get 50% off your first month. No more 7-day free trial. You get 50% off your first month. You can't really beat that. You get a lot of stuff for 30 days. So check that out. Man, we got a lot to talk about. But I think since I'm flying solo, I could probably get through this stuff in about an hour. Detlask, I saw that tweet. Congrats on the 8th place finish, man. I hope that using your Awesemo trial has helped you out nicely. Hope to see you again permanently in here. Come check us out in the Slack. Hang out. Ooh, man, this is going to be quite the slate. It's, I don't love it, but it seems like there's a nice balance spread throughout the entire schedule, so. T-Mac, you knew Klay would be an optimal after Josh shot him down yesterday. Look, here's the guy that got brought up in Slack this morning. Here's the thing with Klay. Klay is basically never going to project well in a model. He plays every day. His price ends up being incredibly consistent. What you're doing when you're rostering Klay is saying, today is the day that I think that he gets his. And that's reasonable. It's just really tough for me to get that feeling and play him with any sort of volume. He's always in play as a GPP candidate because if he starts to get hot, then he's going to take 20 plus shots in a game. To me, that's really unpredictable, but he has the skill set that makes that applicable. So I would never really have, on an 8-game slate, it would be really hard for me to have Klay with any sort of volume. If the other, I got really blurry there. If the other 4 guys or 3 guys are in, kudos to those that played Klay. I certainly understand why you would want to do that against the hapless Knicks, but yeah, it's just that's a play that's I'm gonna have a hard time getting to more often than not. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see what we got here. I see site notifications, which means ownership is up. Let's go grab that and let's walk our way through this 10-gamer. I'm excited. So Yahoo, unrelated to the NBA, Yahoo running a no-rake contest for the PGA this week. So I am dipping my toe into the PGA waters. If you're interested in getting some PGA content, we have it. We will have a show tonight from 9 o'clock until 10 o'clock. Ben and Jason walking us through their likes and dislikes. Consider it sort of a live before lock for PGA, but the night before. So they're going to take you through the entire slate, break it all down. I'm going to say this because your name is also my name. It's a pretty dope name. Thanks for doing all this hard work for us. I just started watching you 2 weeks ago, and I've increased my bankroll 5 times. You guys are so in-depth, best in the biz. We're trying, man. We're trying. So I appreciate the kind words. All right, everybody, you ready to do this? Break down all of it. Yeah, let's go. First game up, the Boston Celtics hosting the Indiana Pacers. This is a game I really want to watch. It's not a game that I want to do too much with from a fantasy perspective, except for two very specific spots. 109.75 for the Celtics, 103.25 for the Pacers. So 6.5 point home favorites for Boston. Both teams fantastic defensively. They are two of the best defenses in the league, at least in limiting fantasy production. Let's see where I have them ranked officially. Celtics are 3rd, Pacers 4th. So a little scary right out of the jump. Start on the Boston side, and there's a piece here that sticks out like a sore thumb, but ownership is backing that up as well. Kyrie Irving is $8,400 on FanDuel tonight, $8,700 on DraftKings, $43 on Yahoo. Without question, Kyrie Irving is the number 1 point guard option to me on FanDuel. He's just simply too cheap. What did his price? Wasn't he $9K yesterday? I think he was $9K yesterday. Yeah, $9K. He was $9,600 just a couple days ago. So, look, I get it. This is a really difficult defensive matchup. It's not so difficult that his price should have dropped by $600, at least not in my opinion. So I absolutely love Kyrie today as the first point guard you can grab on FanDuel. Now, caveat. He has the most ownership in our projected ownership, which is posted right now, which is a piece of the premium package you can get if you use that promo code NBA Strategy. So you really need to think about how much more likely he is to blow up compared to that ownership. It's a tight squeeze. Kyrie in cash, no brainer. He's underpriced. There's too much value there. Kyrie in GPPs, if he's going to be 24% owned, I'm going to have a tough time getting dramatically over that number. I don't think that there's too big of a gap between, and I don't even mean this from a raw points perspective, but just from like a odds of success perspective. There's not that huge of a gap between, say, Kyrie and Dame, or even Ben Simmons to an extent. I mean, Irving is certainly better than both, but if Lillard is at 6% ownership and Ben Simmons is at 12, maybe the Ben Simmons 12 in relationship to Kyrie's 24 makes sense, but Dame at 6, I'll take a closer look there, particularly for Dame's matchup tonight, which we will get to. Wait, now I've got that. Well, yeah, no, I'm right. It's the Bulls. For a second, I thought they played the Pistons, but that's the Lakers. So, yeah, ownership on Kyrie on DraftKings, 5%. He's $8,700. His price on FanDuel is is the allure. Is he fine on DK? Of course. No reason to not roster him on DraftKings, but he's my 7th ranked guard there, so I guess point guard, I would imagine. I don't know his dual eligibilities off the top of my head. I can get there pretty quickly. I assume he has shooting guard. Kyrie. Nope, just point guard. Okay, so he's my 7th ranked point guard. Not going to end up with a lot of them there. Not going to end up with a lot of them at 43 on Yahoo, but have to point him out on FanDuel. Looks like a fantastic piece to start a cash lineup. After that, for Boston, there's not much. You get Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, Marcus Morris, just over 10% in expected ownership. Nobody on DK higher than Jason Tatum at 8%. There's just not a lot of value here. Everybody's back. No one's playing crazy minutes. Everybody's priced accordingly. So what you're trying to do here, if you're picking people from Boston, is guess. So I will not have any pieces of Boston outside of Kyrie on FanDuel. And I'd say that he's probably more like a stick with the field type guy if his ownership is going to be in the 24%. Cash, jam him in. Now on the Pacers side, expectation is going to be that Miles Turner isn't playing. I can't remember if that's official or not. Let's take a look. What was the note? He is doubtful as of right now. So I am not projecting Miles Turner to be in, which means we're certainly opening up some skill set here. Victor Oladipo, 8,300 on FanDuel, 8,300 on DraftKings, $34 on Yahoo. Really happy with him on either FanDuel or Yahoo. He'll be a part of my player pool. It's crazy to think that Oladipo and Kyrie are so similarly priced, but Oladipo at a different spot. No problem using him here. Certainly a tough matchup, but I will at least have some shares of Oladipo. Only 1% expected ownership on DraftKings is crazy low. Not that this is a good spot or anything, but you'll never be mad about having 4 or 5% of Oladipo and getting over that number. Sabonis is the guy that everybody's going to talk about. He's $7K on FanDuel, $7,100 on DraftKings, $24 on Yahoo. If you can see the screen right now, he's ranked 3rd for me on FanDuel, 3rd for me on DK, 4th on Yahoo. He's very popular, 30% expected ownership on FD, 23 on DK. And that makes perfect sense. He's been an absolute beast when Miles Turner isn't on the floor. He should see minutes in the low 30s. Really hard to get away from something like that. He should smash. I see no reason to not want to have, quite a bit of Sabonis. Only downside really is just that it's the really difficult defensive matchup, but he's hard to avoid. So grab yourself some Sabonis out of this game. And grab yourself some Thad Young. 5,700 on FanDuel, $21 on Yahoo. He's been a guy that's been popping up a lot for me lately. Been playing at and here's why I think it's interesting. So over the last 30 days, Thad Young is playing at a 1 fantasy point per minute clip. I have him projected a bit lower than that, just based on his rates and sort of where he normally is. And even when I project him there, he's still a guy in like my top 7 or 8 for the position, which is great. So it doesn't take much to boost him up to think like, oh, maybe he's changed a little bit about his game. Maybe the Pacers are playing a little different. I think there's a lot of upside in Thad Young right now. I'll probably have a slightly pessimistic projection for him, and he still pops. So keep an eye on Thad there. Otherwise, if you think that you can get lucky on Bojan, Collison, Corey Joseph, go for it. It's not for me. Those guys are really tough to predict. Collison or Corey Joseph for 3,400 on DraftKings, I guess carries some appeal, but not really for me. Yeah, Mark, Thad Young for 1% on DK. The $5,700 price tag isn't fantastic. He's ranked 17th for me on DraftKings. The $5,700 price tag on FanDuel is massively better. So, and yeah, you do have to be worried about the back-to-back a little bit. It's not generally something that I concern myself with all that much. So I did some digging This was probably about a year ago. I think it's probably still valid. It's certainly still valid. Every person's projection is going to be two pieces. It's their literal performance, I say, on a per possession basis, and their playing time. Those are the two pieces of the puzzle. So ignoring playing time for a second, because you're going to be projecting minutes independently. We're talking about just performance. I looked through my entire database, grabbed everybody that normally plays 20 plus minutes, pulled out all of the games in a back-to-back to check and see how the different types of back-to-backs affected people, whether it's home and home, home away, away home, or away away. And home and home, slightly positive. Home away and away home, essentially neutral. Didn't really matter that any of those things were happening. The only the only negative in a back-to-back from a performance standpoint was away, and it was like a 1.5% to 2% reduction in their per possession. What is beeping? Per possession rates. So if you have someone that's a 1 point per minute fantasy guy, you probably want to knock them down to like 0.98, just wholesale. Otherwise, I don't really pay too much attention to it. Now, if you think that a guy that played 35 minutes the night before and you plan on playing him 35 minutes is going to play 33 because of the back-to-back, that's the spot where you start losing the value for guys. But the performance itself, the way that they performed on the court, wasn't as big as most people would think. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about back-to-backs. It's two separate pieces. It's performance and it's minutes, both of which are important, but they're completely independent of each other. I don't have anything else for Indiana. Nobody really ranking all that well for me. So I believe we should move on to the Washington Wizards against the Philadelphia 76ers. If you'd like, you can go to yesterday's show and listen to the section of that one. These guys are playing the back-to-back home and home. Did not go very well for the Wizards last night. What was the final of that game? Couldn't have been good. Let's 132 to 115 for the Wiz. Let's take a look at that box score. The old -19 for Green, -13 Ariza, -18 Beal. Beal was fine from a fantasy standpoint, I guess. 28 points, no other stats. The key takeaway is right here. Only one foul, 18 minutes for Thomas Bryant. Mahinmi got 17, and then the game was over. So didn't matter all that much. Otto Porter, super duper 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 dreadful. -20, 19 minutes. Couldn't buy a bucket. Apparently after the game he said that his thumb was going numb. So, that's usually not a good sign. If any time that I had any of my extremities being numb, not confident. Sir Dave says, did you do the same in back-to-back in minutes, Josh? I did not. The reason that I didn't is it's a harder baseline for minutes for me. So I can't broadly just say that someone's minutes will go down. I project minutes out on a day-to-day basis by hand, whereas the projection piece is, at least my baselines are going to be automated. So when I'm looking at a game, I'm not using anything to set the minutes outside of looking at rotations and planning it out. I don't expect guys to play less minutes in a back-to-back if the game is intended to be close. I might shave a minute off, but not going to drop it too much. So let's start with Washington. This is a fantastic fantasy game. Being in Washington should help out a lot. 113 implied total for the Wizards, 115.5 for the Sixers. So this one, in theory, should stay close. Detlask, you said, Josh, are these rankings projections per position for cash or GPP? We get that sort of question a lot, so I might as well touch on it. It's essentially the same thing, in a way. Let me elaborate. When you're playing in cash, what you're looking for are basically the best point per dollar plays. We have an article up from Alex on the website talking about player standard deviations and how the fantasy point per dollar range is fairly linear from a cash perspective. So really what you're looking to do is have the most efficient lineup you can find. Both my rankings are going to be similar in that regard. What you're looking for in GPPs are going to be a little bit more deviation in player performance, and then you're going to also want to be paying close attention to ownership, whereas ownership will be more concentrated in cash games. So if I say someone is ranked really well, you can comfortably assume that ranking holds both for cash and GPP. There are caveats to that, and I'll try to elaborate on those a little bit further if they pop up. But more or less, for cash, you're looking for efficiency. You probably don't need to force in like 4 guys that are 1%. If they're also efficient, I'd look into the projections a little bit further there. But that's more or less what you're looking for. Let me see if I can find that article from Alex right now. What would that be under? Cash games? I believe so. I can't find it. I'll look around for it then. I can't pause the show so much. Tom, if you are listening to this and you know the article that I'm talking about, if you could drop that link into the chat, that would be very helpful. Let's go through Washington now. Bradley Beal, $10K on FanDuel, $8,900 on DraftKings, $40 on Yahoo. Love Beal here on DK at $8,900. No problem going there whatsoever. That's a really nice price point in comparison to FanDuel. Yahoo for $40, I'm fine with. I'll probably have a little bit of Beal on FanDuel, but nothing crazy. 10K is, I mean, you're looking for him to hit 60 tonight. It might be a tough ask. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Otto Porter. He's $5,900 on FanDuel. He's $6K on DK, $23 on Yahoo. He grades out fantastically. I have him in for just over a fantasy point per minute for tonight in 29 minutes. Last night he was on a 30-minute cap, so I don't necessarily see a reason why that particular piece of this would change. Clearly, his health matters. Based on what he had to say, let's see if there's a quote here. You know, he had Porter's hand was numb. So we want to keep an eye on this. He certainly might not play today. Keep an eye on Sam Decker in that regard. But let's just say for a second that Otto Porter is in. And I want to bring this up just to point it out here. Because he was dreadful yesterday. Allegedly. Oh, wrong link. I want to make sure I have it here. Actually, I could have went to my own damn spreadsheet, but this will be easier. Otto Porter played 19 minutes yesterday. He put up 18.7 fantasy points. Just a hair under a point per minute. So even though he was really bad, he got pretty close to the point per minute mark. Excuse me. So if I know that he is playing, I'll probably have some on FanDuel because he's still underpriced at $5,900. I need to take a sip of coffee or others. I'm going to cough again. Actually, I'm going to cough again. Thank you, Tom, for dropping in those game plan articles. Didn't realize it was just the game plan tag. Should have known that, considering my status here. But I appreciate you dropping that in. The old multitasking is difficult. So for me, I am going to be playing Otto Porter if he's playing tonight. I see no reason not to. Even though he was dreadful and his hand went numb, I think you can still get there as a value piece. He doesn't need to be chalk today, but it's worth a look. DK for 6K, you don't need to force it too much. Same for 23 at Yahoo, but 59 on FanDuel at his position is interesting to me. It would honestly, I would expect him to not play, but for right now, I don't have a choice. I have to project him in. That's just broad-based, questionable, or better. They're just in for me. Doubtful or lower, they're just out. It doesn't make sense to be wishy-washy on that stuff. So keep an eye on it. It's going to open up Decker as a value play otherwise. But I'm not going to be so quick to just completely run away from him. If you want to discount his projection even further and just put him at the fantasy points per minute that he got last night, he's still going to show up as like a mildly okay value play for a small forward today. It's hard to avoid. He would have to tumble pretty far for me. Just too low of a price point for a point per minute guy at 29 minutes. That's where I land. After that, we've got a lot more to like here. Trevor Ariza, 6,400 on FanDuel, 5,700 on DK, $23 on Yahoo. I think he's perfectly fine. 8th, 7th, and 8th in my ranks. So there's that. Cossack. Porter might have the worst contract in the NBA. Dude, not even close. Not even close. It's an overpay for a guy, but, there's still another year left on Chandler Parsons. There's 2 years and like $60 million left at Nicola Batum. Call up the Hornets and see if they'd flip Porter for Batum right now. Jesus Christ, they do double backflips. There are a lot of bad contracts out there. Porter is just overpaid. He's still a starter on a good team. Yeah, he's not even the worst contract on his own team. Yeah, Turner's a bad one too. That one's dying out though. You just want more out of Porter. It's a disappointing contract. Josh, do you think points per dollar is more important on Yahoo? I wouldn't say more important. It's safer because of the structure of the tournament and the rake involved. You can be a little less crazy on that site. So I've been playing it pretty straight, especially with the lack of ownership. So now he can be a starter on a good team. Like if they traded him to the Pelicans right now, he would still be an overpaid small forward, but he would start for a team that is good. That's just what I mean. Like if he went to the Rockets, he would look a lot better. Although pace is a thing, but the Wizards are just bad too. It kind of exasperates the problem. Anyway, as much as I would love to have an hour show talking about contracts and stuff, I don't. We gotta walk through this schedule. See, I don't need a second person to get derailed. Is there an optimizer on the site for Yahoo? We are working on the Yahoo functionality for our lineup builder, but for Fantasy Cruncher, yes, Yahoo is available. Fine playing Trevor Ariza. Jeff Green, 5,700 on FanDuel, 51 on DK, 16 on Yahoo. I can only assume it won't go as poorly as it did yesterday. So I think he's a perfectly fine mid-tier play on both FanDuel and DraftKings, and a fantastic play on Yahoo at $16. After that, I have no choice but to ignore Thomas Bryant. I just can't see him getting enough minutes, especially after yesterday. He wasn't in foul trouble. They just simply didn't play him. I also don't have much interest in going to Jan Mahinmi. The only guy that's going to bury me on the Wizards once again will probably be Thomas Satoransky. 6K on FanDuel is but a couple shares is fine. Maybe 1 out of 20, playing a 20 max. $17 on Yahoo though. I can get behind that. You're looking for him to hit like 37. I think that's a pretty realistic ceiling. Detlesk, if you really like a guy, what would be your max exposure to him in Cruncher? 50% or 60%? Is that too much? Depends on his salary. The lower the salary, the higher the cap. Ooh, Adam with the news. Thrive props are posted. $25 Awesemo free roll today only. Go ahead and get in that. We could talk about that at the end of the show. I'll make sure to pull that up. Thanks for dropping in, Adam. All right, we go to Philly. X Cossack brings up a nice point. We might see someone sit from Philly tonight. Someone other than JJ Redick, who sat yesterday. Great spot, again, for the Sixers. No surprise there. 10-8 for Embiid on both sites. $52 on Yahoo. I have a hard time getting to Embiid. He was hyper efficient last night. What was his... where's he at? What did he point up? 38 points in 24 minutes. So he was at 1.58 points per minute. If he plays 33 minutes, you're looking at 50 plus. Perfectly acceptable. I have him projected for 1.5 in 34 minutes today. He looks good, but it's a really difficult ask for me in a GPP to pay this on a 10-game slate. I'm not confident in it because of the Wizards. Although maybe I should be with a 2-point line. And maybe that 2-point line is evidence that we're not going to see somebody tonight. I have Redick back in. There's no news for me right now, but with that 2-point line, stands the reason we might not see someone tonight, or maybe two someones. So keep an eye on it. But for right now, Embiid is functional for me. He's my 6th center on FanDuel. I think that's the easiest way to talk about it. I can't imagine paying 10-8 for him on DraftKings. That's not to say that he cannot go nuts. He's got 11% ownership. But we know time and time again that there's incredible amounts of value at the center position on DK. Guys in like this 5, 6, 7, 8 range. It just really makes it difficult to allocate that money to Embiid there. And on Yahoo, I certainly will not have him at $52. I don't need to think about him going for 70. I'll take my chances. Ben Simmons, again, 9,300 on FanDuel is close. 9,100 on DK is less interesting. 3% expected ownership, not that appealing. $41 on Yahoo, I'm not really there. I don't have much interest in Jimmy Butler. $31 on Yahoo, though, I can get talked into for his position. It's not bad. It's just a really tough sell for me. If Redick is back, that kind of takes away the value of everyone else. If Redick is out, take a look at TJ McConnell. Take a look at Korkmaz. Shamit went crazy yesterday. I guess it's a worthwhile punt. I'd be surprised if he did it again. But you're going to want to keep a close eye on Philly right now. They look like a fantastic matchup, but they're really not priced where you really want to soak up a lot of volume. That is evidenced by ownership, where outside of Embiid, Ben Simmons has got 12% on FanDuel, and that's it. Everybody else is in the low single digits. Yeah, I agree with X Cossack here. Don't play. You're okay with playing Shaman at the flat minimum on FanDuel if JJ Redick is out, because you can drop a guy. There's no downside to it. It's just not that sexy of a play on a 10-game slate. Do I think it will be a blowout game? No. Why? It's a 2.5 point line. Can it be a blowout game? Sure, but I don't look for it really. Yeah, everything changes if Redick's out, or multiple guys being out. But as of right now, everybody's priced accordingly and everybody is in, so makes it a little less appealing for me. Moving on. The Brooklyn Nets hosting the Atlanta Hawks. Josh trusts lines too much. What else can I trust there? I don't predict blowouts. A 2.5 point line is not a likely blowout for me. Uh, 118 implied total for the Nets, 109 for the Hawks. 9-point line. A much more likely blowout candidate than the Wizards Sixers. Not predicting blowouts either way. Monster pace up spot for Brooklyn. This is a really tasty game, and there are some prices on FanDuel that are super appealing. Oh, Roy, you bring up a good point about home and away. So when I read those teams off, or for people looking at the screen, the top team in the list is always the home team. They are also bolded in this table. So I don't know if anybody's ever noticed that or anything, but the top team is always the home team. You tell him, Sieg. D'Angelo Russell, 7,700 on FanDuel, 7,600 on DraftKings, $26 on Yahoo. He's one of the better plays of the day, people. He is my second-ranked shooting guard. Positions are never in my head. Yeah, second-ranked shooting guard. You can't beat it. It's too fast of a game. 22% expected ownership is the piece that you want to keep an eye on. 7,600 on DraftKings. He's fourth for me. Again, 17% ownership. It looks good. $26 on Yahoo. Fantastic. He might be the best play on Yahoo. Well, let me make sure that I'm not missing anybody. Well, I definitely have Drummond ahead of him. Yeah, Russell's third for me. So get your D'Angelo Russell shares on Yahoo tonight, baby. Looks good. Can't beat this game. Jared Allen, 5,800 on FanDuel, 5,800 on DK, 19 on Yahoo. I really like that $5,800 price tag for Jared Allen on FanDuel, even if he's at like 25, 26 minutes. Oh, God, I can't take it much longer. Benjamin, man. I understand that Vegas is wrong every day. Everybody is. But it is the single greatest baseline that we can use to start with. If you think that lines are significantly wrong, you shouldn't be playing DFS. You should be the greatest sports bettor of all time. They are the most efficient source of information that we can get our hands on. Thank you, Thomas. You nailed that one. It's not that it's the be-all, end-all. It's the only piece of information that we can consistently trust as accurate. The error bars are huge. I'm not trying to say that they're not, but to disregard that piece of information is just lunacy. Dinwiddie is not for me tonight. 62 on FanDuel, 64 on DraftKings, 18 on Yahoo. You can talk me into it for the 18 on Yahoo. 12% ownership on FanDuel seems a bit high for me. That's not where I want to be, but it wouldn't shock me if you went kind of crazy. If space isn't real, how can lines be real? Amen. This is all assuming that Damari Carroll and Joe Harris are back. I believe they are both probable. Damari Carroll, I guess, is in play on Yahoo. There's the key. Thanks, Tom. Vegas is very accurate on average over the long term, despite short-term variance. Ding, ding, ding. Sometimes it's hard to say that without like swearing at the people in the chat. Appreciate the tag in. Damien, I think Dinwiddie gets 30 plus. He smashes versus the Hawks. Well, I can see it. I have him projected for 30 fantasy points. I just think that D'Angelo Russell is a better play than Spencer Dinwiddie. Let's see how often I have them hitting their particular marks. I've got Dinwiddie 4.5, or we'll call it 5. Russell at 17. I have him a little bit better at 3-1. Ownership showing up a little bit more narrow than that. What we got going on here? All right. I don't have anybody else I really want to point out. Napier at 4,700 is just towing the line of value on FanDuel. 4K on DraftKings is a bit more appealing. Only 20, but he's projected for 22% ownership. Keep an eye on that. I have a feeling that in a 10-game slate, by the time the injury news shakes out, Napier's ownership will come down and some value will open back up. Let's go to Atlanta. I watched a lot of that Hawks Raptors game yesterday, just because I had a lot of Lynn and Bembry. I have Kevin Herter in right now, so we have that little caveat. So I don't expect Jeremy Lin to start again. But Atlanta looked like they were hanging around, and then all of a sudden they just could not stop turning the ball over. What did they finish with? I know the number was over 25 at one point. Now I just want to know the answer. And they gacked it away at the end after leading the entire game. 26 turnovers. Yeah, Bembry was just, oh, God. He started just, I mean, I would say that 5 of those 7 might have happened in the last 12 minutes in the final stretch. Yeah, they started going to Collins, and he started getting buckets on the blocks. He also got abused really bad by Siakam on a spin move that was just, he left Collins just standing still like a statue. Alrighty, back to the Hawks. I don't have a lot that I like here, assuming DeAndre Bembry is in. If Bembry is out, that will certainly open up more minutes for Lynn. I will go right back to the well on DeAndre Bembry. Dwayne Dedmon for 5,200 on DraftKings, I like a lot. Trae Young taking that layup at the end was ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know if anybody else was watching it at the end. Somebody dunked for the Raptors with like 0.6 of a second left, and Vince let one sail from like 3/4 court to tie, and like wasn't super far off. Like it wasn't like close, but like Vince had a chance to bury the 3/4 quarter to tie the game and send it into OT against Toronto. It would have been nuts. Yeah, Matthew makes a good point. He has a Herter has a back strain. It would be strange to come back overnight. Yeah, he wasn't on the injury report to start the day, and then he got moved to doubtful and then ruled out. As of right now, he's not. He has a questionable listing, I believe. So I project him in, but it's definitely something you want to keep in mind. I would assume they don't have a shoot around today, but with the game starting at 7:30, we should certainly get some news. I don't have a lot to like here. 7,200 for John Collins on DraftKings, to me, is just too high. He's getting 17% ownership. I just have a hard time seeing him get there. Last 30 days, he's been at 1.16 fantasy points per minute. I have him just a hair under that at 1.12. So for me, I have a hard time seeing him where he should be owned that highly. He's a really efficient guy, but that one's just not for me today. Dedmon, I think, looks like the more efficient play, much better as a cash play, for circling back to that. And then Trae Young for 6,200 on DraftKings, I think, is in play. He's a point per minute guy so far. I have him in for 30. You know, if the shot is falling, could be a decent night. Going to be involved. He's gonna gun. So don't be afraid to use Trae Young on DK or on Yahoo. And then my play of the day on Yahoo from the Hawks is DeAndre Bembry again. Whether or not Kevin Herter is in, Bembry's $12, and he's active, I guess. I like him as a value play. You don't need to go crazy. If you're playing the 10 lines on Yahoo, put him in 1, put him in 2. That's all. Denman plays like the lion's share of the center minutes. Mostly him and Alex Len. It's been like a 27, 28 minute stretch for him. Last 4 games for Dedmon, 26, 27, 21, 27. Missed 2 games there at the end of December, but it was 29 and 37 right before that. So, 27, 28 is the most likely scenario. If the game stays close, you might see him grab an extra minute or 2. But I have him in for 27. I love coffee so much. I love it more than anything. Except for my wife, who's not listening, but I should say that out loud. All right, let's move on. I did 3 games in 45 minutes. I feel like shit, my money is actually here. Let's switch back to the solo screen for now. Moving it all around. Houston Rockets, 112 implied total, hosting the Milwaukee Bucks. 113.5. So 1.5 point favorites for the Bucks in Houston. Nice pace up spot for the Rockets. You don't get those a lot. They play so slow. Bucks are 7th in my pace metric. Rockets are 3rd from the bottom. See Yang Channel, coffee smells like pee. What does your pee smell like? Oh my god. I wish my pee smelled like coffee. Unreal. Okay, let's talk about Houston now. That one caught me off guard. 12-6 for James Harden on FanDuel. 12-2 on DraftKings. $59 on Yahoo. I'm still in. I see no reason not to be. Got him projected for 46% usage and 28 field goal attempts. He's at 25% ownership on FanDuel, 26% expected ownership on DraftKings. That doesn't even give me an aversion to it. I'm fine with even having more than that. I do want to take a look at something here. Go to hop to cleaning the glass for a second. I want to take a look at the Bucks. Do I like Bembry on FanDuel tonight? Meh. Okay, let's see it here. Actually, can I see that? League, play context. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Defense in the half court. Okay, so Milwaukee has been really good in half court defense. So I'm going to use that as a proxy for isolation. They are 9th in points per play. That's weird. They should have those numbers flip-flopped. They limit offensive rebounds incredibly. So keep an eye on that. Could tell a big story for this game. If anybody's on the fence about Harden, they have been pretty good in isolation and in the half court. So check that stuff out. With that said, I have a hard time just completely getting away from someone like James Harden, who is the exact central point of his entire offense. At the very least, I want to be with the field at that number. But his ceiling is massive, and this game should stay close. Clint Capella, 9,100 on FanDuel. Not super interested. 7,800 on DraftKings. This is where we talk about how there are guys in this mid-tier that look so much better than having to pay all the way up for someone like Joel Embiid. So I'd have no issue going to Capella here. He's my number 8 center on DK. $35 on Yahoo. I can give or take it. Rivers up to $5,400 on FanDuel. Look, if you want to get there, get there. He's going to play 40 minutes. But, man, that's tricky. Dustin, how in the world is this a terrible matchup for Harden? The Bucks defense is really good in the half court, which is where, Harden tends to live. I'm never really worried about an individual matchup for Harden. But with the Bucks, with the way that the Bucks have been playing from a defensive standpoint, they've been limiting scoring in the half court, and they're not allowing second chance points in half court offense. And if you're not giving James Harden additional bullets, if they're not able to cycle that back out and grab any offensive rebounds, that limits his upside a hair. It's a couple less bites at the apple. So it's not that it's a terrible matchup. It's just that the Bucks as a team defense have been pretty steady in sort of the area that James Harden tends to live in, which is playing in the half court in isolation. That's all. He's still my number 1 dude. Don't worry. But there is that is something that you need to look into. Now, I was just talking about Austin Rivers. For $13 on Yahoo, feel free to move forward with Austin Rivers. But $5,400 on FanDuel, is tough. 4,500 on DraftKings it seems like a good play, clearly. However, he is also projected for 22% ownership. Let's find this dude. Where do I got him? What the hell's his name? Rivers. That's the guy. If I'm playing on DraftKings and Austin Rivers is projected for 20-something% ownership, I am running away from that as fast as I can. Just fade that. I don't generally say that all that often, but if you think that Austin Rivers is going to be owned at 20% today, fade him. After that, for Houston, PJ Tucker is a worthwhile punt on Yahoo. It's not really for me on DK, but I can see it maybe 1 out of 20 on a DK tournament. Same for House. Same for Gerald Green. But these guys don't grade out all that well. It's the Harden show. We'll go to Milwaukee. Giannis, pace down. 11.8 on FanDuel. 11.1 on DraftKings. $56 on Yahoo. I actually like him a little bit on DK. And it's mostly a positional thing. But we sort this here. He is one of the better small forward plays of the day. Power forward is obviously a little busy. But at small forward, I mean, you're looking at Kuzma, Middleton, Green, Barnes, Porter, Ariza. There's not a ton to love here. So I think that you can make a case for Giannis from a ceiling perspective. Rockets don't really have much of an answer for him. Not that any team really does. So I'm fine going to Giannis on DK. Only 6% ownership, so it's really not going to take a lot for you to get with the field. For FanDuel, he's fine. It's not totally for me. I'll have some, somewhere in the probably 10% range. But it's basically him and everyone else at small forward. He's 11.8. Next closest guy is Brandon Ingram at 6,900. That is insanity, the gap between these two guys. So I don't totally need Giannis for FanDuel today. I think that you can get some interesting structure otherwise. But if his ownership stays pretty low, I think it's worth a discussion. To me, he should probably be owned more than 18%, or more than 8% rather. So something to keep in mind. Middleton, Bledsoe, Brogdon, Lopez. Middleton on DraftKings for 6,400. Again, a fantastic value. Ranked third for me, $26 on Yahoo, ranked fourth. Middleton would be a guy I would have on DK and Yahoo. I would ignore him on FanDuel for 75. Bledsoe's teetering right on the edge of being viable for me. 10% expected ownership is Malcolm Brogdon, he's not on my radar at all. And Brook Lopez, also not on my radar at all. Fun game. I'll probably watch that one. To the Grizzlies we go. Memphis Grizzlies versus hosting the San Antonio Spurs. 100-point implied total for the Grizz. 103 for the Spurs. So Spurs 3-point favorites in Memphis. We'll start on the Memphis side. JaMychal Green with the opportunity to be out today. That is definitely something you want to keep an eye on. I want to make sure I get the news piece right. Left shoulder soreness. He is questionable. So keep an eye on shoot around. Might firm up Jaren Jackson Jr.'s minutes. I love it. So we'll start with Gasol and Conley. Gasol, 7,600 on FanDuel, 6,500 on DraftKings, $27 on Yahoo. In play across the board. Clearly a much better play on DraftKings for 65. It's incredible value at the center spot once again. Spurs are probably a pretty good matchup for him. Maybe they'll dust off Powell. 23% expected ownership, though, for Marc Gasol. If we take a look at the center rankings here, where I have Gasol at a crisp number 2. I probably wouldn't want to go too close to that 23% number. I think that might be a little heavy. But, coming in at the 15 to 25 range, I think is perfectly acceptable. He's a guy that I would want to be with the field with. I don't see a ton of utility in diving over that number in this type of game against the Spurs, who've been fantastic over the past month and a half. Conley, 8,400 on FanDuel, totally not in play for me. 7,400 on DraftKings, teetering on the edge, but I doubt I'd get him. I have really no interest in Conley. Jaren Jackson Jr., I think he is in play as a mid-tier guy. 6,600 on FanDuel, 5,400 on DraftKings, $20 on Yahoo. 20 on Yahoo, no-brainer for sure. He's my third power forward on Yahoo. But if you want to get to him on FanDuel and DK, I won't talk you out of it. If JaMychal Green is out, feel free to go for it. Only thing that would give me pause, Spurs are 7th in free throw rate offensively. Jaren Jackson does have a proclivity for fouls. Keep an eye on it. After that, no slow-mo. Nobody else really here for me. So I think we can go to the Spurs, where we have no Rudy Gay once again today. I believe that is already official. I have that information in front of me. Greg Popovich said that Rudy Gay will not play Wednesday versus the Grizzlies. Yeah, so there you go. DeMar at 85 on FanDuel is probably not a place that I'm going to get to. 8K on DK is right on the edge of where I would want him to be. Ownership at 13%. It's not like you're going over that number, especially against the Grizz. It's just a slog of a game. There's not much to like here. Derek White for 5,300 on FanDuel is probably the most appealing piece of it all. He is my 6th ranked point guard on FanDuel right now. I have him projected for 0.8 fantasy points per minute. That gets him to 6th. Over his last 30 days, he has been playing at a 0.91 fantasy point per minute rate. So there's a ton of upside if you think that rate is more real than the 0.8. You can talk me into some Derek White right now at 5,300. Not someone I'm going to go super crazy for, but at 7% ownership, I could see going to 10, 12, getting a little bit of leverage on the field. This is just not the game that you want to soak up anything in. All right, we're halfway through. NBA Strategy is the promo code. 50% off any package of your choosing if you want to sign up at Awesemo.com. So check that out. You'll get access to rankings, projections, ownership projections, our premium Slack channel, all the good stuff, articles across all the sports. That's all you got to do. New Orleans Pelicans hosting the Cleveland Cavaliers. Pels 118.75 implied total for, oh my God, so highest of the slate. 104.75 for the Cavs. Cavs are super terrible. Shockingly bad. Larry Nance, he's traveling with the team. We don't totally know right now of his health. The knee injury is not supposed to be serious, but you do want to keep an eye on it. If Larry Nance doesn't play, fire. I don't know what to tell you. It's a solely unappealing game. No Hood, no Nawaba, no Love, no JR. You guys know that stuff by now. We'll start on the Pels side, though. 12-5 for Anthony Davis on FanDuel. Major pace down spot for the Pelicans, which is kind of crazy to think about. But, Cleveland is the slowest team in the league. 94.5 possessions for me in my model. So, a slow game. 12-5 for AD on FanDuel. 11-5 on DraftKings. $58 on Yahoo. I don't have much of an issue going to Anthony Davis here. He's highly ranked, either tops or second at his position. 18% expected ownership on FanDuel, 10% on DraftKings. He's $58 on Yahoo. That's super terrifying, but I would comfortably be, if Anthony Davis is 10% on DraftKings, I can be comfortable going to like 18 to 20. I don't mind being over the field there. Julius Randle, 8,200 on FanDuel, 81 on DraftKings, $38 on Yahoo. He looks really good on FanDuel for 8,200. Number 2 ranked guy for me. If I hop over here to take a look at it, sort that again by rank. He's just in a really, really, really nice spot. Ownership is backing that up, though. He's at 14% right now. I probably would just stick with the field on that number. Similarly, we've got Drew Holiday, 8,600 on FanDuel, 7,700 on DK. Yeah, Larry Nance is not out right now. He could be out, but he is not out right now. Unless that happened in the last hour. Wouldn't shock me. But he is not out as of right now. I don't even know what this dude is talking about in chat anymore. Ignore him. If you want to play Drew, that's fine. He is on the fence. Just on the edge of where I would want him for any sort of volume. He would show up in any lineup, except for probably Yahoo. Looks fine on FanDuel and DK. Miguel McDonald, did you just say he was your number 2 player on the site? He is my number 2 center on FanDuel. Yeah, there's a lot to love about AD. After the top 3 of Davis, Randall, Holiday, I don't really need any Peyton. I have Eton Moore in. So there's not much else for me from the Pelicans. For Cleveland, a little bit of a pace up spot. Here's the deal. If Larry Nance is in, he is $5,500 on FanDuel. I have him in for 28 minutes. It's not a great spot. I might have to take a closer look at those minutes, but they are so thin right now that even if he drops to like 25, that $5,500 price point is amazing for him. What is his price? What was his price in his last game? Uh-oh. Please don't freeze. Please don't freeze. I think you froze. Task manager. Where is it? Kill. Yep. End process. Done. Nance. There we go. 5,500. Okay, so he was 5,800. He was just 7,400. So, if we know that Larry Nance is in, he looks like a fantastic mid-tier play on FanDuel at 55. A little bit less so for 59 on DraftKings, but a lot of these Cleveland guys are way better priced on FanDuel. He's $20 on Yahoo. Again, I really like Larry Nance as a mid-tier option on FanDuel and Yahoo if we confirm that he is in. Tristan Thompson, 6,200 on FanDuel, 6K on DK, 22 on Yahoo. I like Tristan a little bit on FanDuel for 6,200. Got the question, how do my projections for Tristan Thompson change with Nance out? Very mild boost for Thompson, but he's already going to play 30 minutes, so there's not a ton else that he's going to soak up. I would guess that Ante Zizic then soaks up all of the additional center minutes, and there's probably not too much of an impact, in my opinion. It is something that I'm going to look into once it gets there, but there's enough research for me to do on things that are definitely happening. I can't preemptively do that one. I mean, I can, but this could be a blowout with no Nance. I mean, it's a 14-point line with him, in my opinion. Larry Nance is not the type of thing that keeps this shit close. The Cavs are just bad. I had a ton of Alec Burks last night. It went pretty well. He is 4,500 on FanDuel. He is my number 3 shooting guard. Fire up your Alec Burks. It's totally cool with me. $14 on Yahoo looks great. Ignore him completely for $5,000 on DraftKings. Jordan Clarkson, I don't want a part of. Colin Sexton, Chetty Osman, 4,600 and 4,500 respectively on FanDuel. I think both are the low mid-tier solid plays just because of the pace of this game. I'd have no problem having either of those guys as sort of value plays. There's no need to go crazy on them. Chetty only $12 on Yahoo. Another guy that I'd have no problem getting some shares of. Just understand what you're getting out of these guys. They're not world beaters. Let's move on. 4 games to go. I've already been going for an hour. Today's a little bit more long-winded than yesterday's. I feel good, though. I woke up no brain fog. I've been taking antibiotics for the past 5 days. I stopped taking them yesterday, but I felt them hit me yesterday for sure. It zapped everything. Now I've got all sorts of energy. I'm feeling good. Feeling good. Dallas Mavericks, Phoenix Suns. I don't know if this line, well, I know that this line isn't legitimate right now. Let's see if it's been posted since then. It has 218.5 on a -9.5. So I went for way too much. I had 10 extra points. That's going to change this feel. All right, here we go. 114 implied total for the Mavericks, 104.5 for the Suns. Nice little pace spot here. Luka Doncic, 8,100 on FanDuel, 8,200 on DK, $33 on Yahoo. There's just not a ton there for me. I have a hard time getting there. I'm not gonna lie. He's just a little too expensive. There's too much value out there. Like, I can't imagine taking Luka here over Kyrie, but maybe that should be the play because of ownership. But Luka just really far down the list for me. I have a hard time getting there at that price tag. I love the dude. It's a tough sell for me. Luka questionable? Why? I don't see that anywhere. DSJ for sure, but I didn't see anything on Luka. I don't see anything on Luka. DSJ is up in the air though, which we are about to get to. Luka is a game time decision. Yeah, you also just said that what's his name is already out based on us, so you are no help with injury news. Save those. Just assume Luka's playing. DeAndre Jordan, 7,800 on FanDuel, 6,900 on DraftKings, $27 on Yahoo. No thank you across the board. Barnes, 5,600 FanDuel. Yeah, I don't deal with the tags on FanDuel and DraftKings, guys. I can't go to those websites for my source information. It's not on Roto World right now. Oh, no shit. Oh, wait, that's fucking old as hell. Why would I put that there? Why would I put that there? Why would the latest headlines be archived like that? It's not important. Ooh, so there you go. 3-run shot. Brad Townsend of the Dallas Morning News. That's the sort of source information we need. 3-run shot. That's what we're looking for, my man. That's what we're looking for. We need the source. It's not important. I don't see him as particularly viable, whether Dennis Smith Jr. is in or out. Solid play. Consistent play. Not my favorite tournament play on a 10-game slate. Let's talk DSJ. He's 5,300 on FanDuel, 4,500 on DraftKings, $13 on Yahoo. I've got him in for 27 minutes. You shouldn't even pay attention to him right now. Today will probably be the day that he goes crazy. I don't really like a lot from Dallas here. It's really not that appealing. Wes Matthews for the flat minimum on Yahoo is probably the best play out of anything that's on here. That's all I'd be looking at right here. Dallas isn't for me. Should be, just isn't. Keep an eye on it, though. Phoenix. I have Devin Booker in. What opens for Dallas if Doncic is out? I'm not even going down that road. I don't think he'll be out. We could do this conversation for every single team. All right. Pricing on FanDuel for Phoenix is pretty good. No one else really looks that great, though. Like I said, I have Booker in $8,700, $8,638. Not for me. I don't really have any interest in DeAndre Ayton. 7,600 on FanDuel is fine. There's just, probably a bunch of better centers for me right now. Look, I probably don't expect Devin Booker to play in this spot. It would surprise me, but he's questionable right now, and I don't get selective about my questionable tags. If you're questionable, you're in. If you're doubtful, you're out. That way no one has to be like, oh, well, you have this guy in and not that guy. I have to draw that line in the sand pretty firm. I didn't expect Oubre to get enough minutes. He looked fine as like a 25 minute guy. I don't even know what he finished with. How many minutes did Kelly Oubre end up playing yesterday? Yeah, 30. If I gave him 5 more minutes, he would have looked fantastic. So, Mikal Bridges, 4,300 on FanDuel, $12 on Yahoo. That's a spot that I will be going. Otherwise, I don't know. Not much here for me. Should be, just not for, I don't know. Everybody seems to be priced either higher than they should be or priced accordingly. So we do need injury news if we want to open up this game, in my opinion. Obviously, you're looking at Ayton, Warren, Bridges, Jackson, Melton, Oubre. If Booker sits, everybody should take a nice sizable step forward. And most of these guys are close to unplayable on DraftKings. Their prices on FanDuel are miles better. We have Melton at 16% ownership right now. Kelly Oubre at 27%. That's probably the lean of Booker being out. FanDuel's unique in that, I get playing someone like Chalky Oubre $200 above the minimum. That's fine. I have no problem playing DeAnthony Melton, but I wouldn't want to be over the field on him. Both guys should be owned, though, if Devin Booker doesn't play. I totally understand that. These guys will look a lot better if Booker is out. As soon as that news comes out, come to Awesemo.com and check out my updated projections. Okay, let's talk about this. Todd Reno, Oubre is bad chalk. I don't agree with you there. At least not on FanDuel. Anybody that's under 4K on FanDuel is no longer bad chalk. It just can't be, because you can drop that score. You can play anybody in that spot. There's no utility to not do it. And if someone's going to be getting 30 minutes instead of the 22 they've been getting to put their price tag where it is, they're suddenly good value as well. And it's not like there are natural pivots in these spots, because what you're really doing is thinking, I hope that this guy can beat out someone else and not be my drop. But it's really hard on FanDuel now to have a sub 4K guy be bad chalk if value is opening up, because all you can do is throw that score in the garbage in the downside. It doesn't have to affect you negatively whatsoever. On DraftKings, you can talk me into calling Oubre bad chalk if he gets there, but 3,800 is still worthwhile value. On FanDuel, it's a completely different story now with low price guys. Chalk is different. You can play Kelly Oubre in 100% of your lineups. Like, I might bury you because value is better somewhere else, but for the sub 4K guys, you could kind of rotate that stuff through. I have no issue going really heavily on someone like Oubre if Booker is out, just because of the opened up minutes. Yeah, Lorenzo, I agree. If Booker is out, Oubre, Melton, Bridges, they all look a lot better. I'll still go back to the well with some Josh Jackson. Alrighty. 3 more games. Jazz and Magic. 107.5 implied total for the Jazz. 99 for the Orlando Magic. Black. 8.5 point favorites for Utah. Not a great fantasy spot, but we got a lot to talk about for the Jazz, or at least we have something to talk about for the Jazz. No Ricky Rubio for a while. No Dante Exum for a while. No Tabo Cephalosha for a while. So, Rudy Gobert, 8,400 on FanDuel, 7,500 on DraftKings, $30 on Yahoo. I like Rudy Gobert quite a bit here. 10% ownership on FanDuel. I'm fine being there. 7,500 on DK. A little bit too much ownership in my opinion, but he looks good. Gobert grades out as like a top 5 center across the board for me. So don't be afraid to get yourself some Gobert. Donnie Mitchell, 7,900 on FanDuel, 7,300 on DraftKings, $28 on Yahoo. He is 4th, 2nd, and 2nd in my ranks across those 3 sites. 10% expected ownership on FanDuel. I'd like to have double that. Mitchell's going to have whatever he wants to do. Damian Lee saying Mitchell should be over 30% usage. I have Mitchell at 35% usage for today. 24 field goal attempts. Only guy in double figures in field goal attempts. Yeah, I call him Donnie Mitchell. He and I go way back. I really love Donovan Mitchell if he is 10% owned. 14% owned on DK. Where do I have him coming in? Yeah, I would happily take a little bit more of Mitchell on DraftKings. At $28 on Yahoo, I think he looks fantastic. Mitchell, one of the better plays of the entire day. No thank you on favors. No real interest in jingles. Raul Neto, 5,900 on FanDuel. He got priced up immediately. No need to play him on FanDuel. Not that appealing, even though he's going to get 30 minutes. 4,300 on DraftKings. I've got some interest there. He's still ranked only 14th for me. Not projected to get any sort of ownership, but if you're looking for a paydown spot, there are worse options than getting like 5% Raul Neto. If you're going to play a 20 max on DK, don't be afraid to have one there. It's a wholly unappealing spot, but there are minutes to go around right now. So don't be afraid to keep an eye on it just because of the price tag. My dog is stretched out like crazy on the couch in front of me. I wish you all can see this. He looks ridiculous. After that, Crowder, 4,700 on FanDuel. Not for me, really. He's just too far down in terms of value, guys. And I don't really care all that much about jamming in Jazz guys. They just don't have a high enough point total. So it's not totally for me. I don't hate it, but I just don't totally trust it. And especially with Orlando, with so many big dudes, so many 4s and 5s for Orlando, I can see this more as a favors game than a Crowder game. Speaking of Orlando, I'm not entirely sure I really like anybody here. 9,600 for Vooch is okay. He's my 8th center, 6% expected ownership. That makes sense to me. Aaron Gordon for 6,400 on DraftKings. He's ranked 9th. I can see being a little over that 4% number of expected ownership. But as for me in this game, I don't have any real interest in the Magic. I just can't get there. Guys that I'd be looking at for sure. Gobert, Mitchell. That's basically it. Jazz 9-point favorite seems like a little much. The Jazz are playing at home. It's a very tough place to play. And, let's be clear here. The Magic aren't that good. Jazz have been, I think they went on a little bit of a tumble, but let's take a look at this. Where do they rank in terms of point differential? Utah Jazz plus 3.1 point differential. Orlando is 25th at -4. That's a 7-point gap, plus the Jazz being at home, so that would be like 10, barring any injury stuff. 9 looks right to me. Two more. Let's get through this. 10 more minutes. I would like to get through here in a crisp 90. So now we're not going to do that. We still got to take a look at Thrive. Portland Trail Blazers hosting the Chicago Bulls. 108.5 implied total for the Blazers. 99 for the Bulls. Tied with the Magic for being the most dreadful team on the slate. From a points perspective, not from a talent perspective. That goes to the Cavs. Damian Lillard, 9,200 on FanDuel, 8,800 on DraftKings, $36 on Yahoo. I love me some Dame today. He is my 5th ranked point guard on FanDuel, 5th on DraftKings, 4th on Yahoo. Yet he's only getting 6% ownership on FanDuel, 3% on DK. If I look at Dame right now, and he's projected for 6% ownership, I'm probably coming to like 20. I definitely want to have some Damian Lillard here. I think that is an underpriced Damian Lillard for what this game entails. Probably one of my favorite plays of the day with regard to his current ownership projection. I think this Chicago game will be close. Whew. That's a bold take. I hope you're wrong-ish. I hope it's close enough that Dame can get his full allotment of minutes. After that, I don't really have a ton of interest in anything else from Portland. Nobody is in the top 10 in ranks on any site across the board. Evan Turner, 3,900. We will not have Mo Harkless tonight, so we should see additional run for Evan Turner and for Jake Layman. Turner at 3,900 on DK is appealing, but he's already projected for 15% ownership. So I'm not entirely sure what sort of value you're getting on someone like Evan Turner at that rate. I would not have... Evan Turner would not be the value play that I'm looking for. To the Chicago side, 7K for Chris Dunn on FanDuel, I think is a mildly appealing spot, but he is getting 11% expected ownership. So, I can see going a little bit over that, but I don't mind this for Dunn, who should see, I've got him in for 32 minutes. He's a point per minute guy. If this goes well, he should keep himself on the floor. They're going to want him out there for defensive purposes without question. So, I like the idea of having Chris Dunn. Otherwise, I'm pretty much good. Nobody else in my top 10 in ranks. Wendell Carter and Markkanen both hit 10 on FanDuel and DK respectively, so they're at least mildly in play. Bobby Portis at 12% expected ownership on DK, $4,700. It's probably not for me. I get the appeal, but I can't imagine getting up to 12% ownership. So out of this game, it's Dame on any site, Chris Dunn probably just on FanDuel. Don't forget, guys, it's a 99-point implied total for the Bulls. There's a reason this stuff doesn't look appealing. There are not a lot of fantasy points to be had in this one. Closing it out, late night hammer. More of a tiny-ass hammer than anything else. The Los Angeles Lakers hosting the Detroit Pistons. Lakers 109.25 implied total. Pistons 107.75. Assuming Kuzma is in and everything else is relatively normal for the Lakers, we'll start there. Fantastic. $7,100 price tag for Kuz on FanDuel. $7K on DK. $30 on Yahoo. I like me some Kyle Kuzma tonight. This should come as very little shock. Highly ranked across all three sites. 12% ownership on FanDuel, 7% on DK. I will have some Kuzma everywhere. Brandon Ingram, 6,900 on FanDuel, 7,500 on DK. Don't play him there. $27 on Yahoo. He's on the edge. But I love Brandon Ingram for 6,900 on FanDuel. I will certainly have some. 18% expected ownership gives me some pause, but I'll certainly be likely with the field there. JaVale, 6,500 on FanDuel, 53 on DK, 17 on Yahoo. I like me some JaVale on Yahoo. I think 17 is a reasonable price point. If he can get up into the high 30s, which I think is reasonable here, he should see a full allotment of minutes because of Drummond. You should expect Drummond to be in the mid 30s for minutes. So JaVale should see the bulk of it. There are extra minutes to go around if they want to pull them from Zubats, and McGee is looking good. So, yeah, that's a good point. Kuzma does not seem healthy with his back. I don't disagree there. It is something that you want to pay attention to. I try not to weigh that too heavily because I don't really have a way to quantify it. So just be cognizant of the ownership. That's really the piece that you want to do it. And then we've got Lonzo, 7,100 on FanDuel, 68 on DK, 22 on Yahoo. Don't play him on DraftKings. Play him on FanDuel. Play him on Yahoo. He is projected for essentially zero ownership, 4% on FanDuel. He's been a 0.94 point per minute guy over the last 30 days. I've got him in for 0.93. I see no reason to suspect that this would be some sort of bomb game for Lonzo. So, especially with guys like Reggie Jackson in the backcourt, if he is 4% owned, I'm probably coming in like 3 or 4 times the field. That's just simply too low for me. And then if you want to play Josh Hart, I think he's a worthwhile FanDuel and Yahoo mid-tier guy. He's 7th on FanDuel, 8th on Yahoo for me. I can get there. It's not going to be any sort of volume. No one's owning him. Get him around 10%. You'll feel pretty good. Pistons, monster pace up spot here. Lake Show, number 2 in my pace ratings. Pistons are, 15th, 18th, somewhere in that neighborhood. So this grades out as a really nice game potentially for the Pistons. Andre Drummond, we're saving the best for last. 9,500 on FanDuel, 8,600 on DraftKings, $34 on Yahoo. Number one. Drummond across the board. Ranking first, all 3 sites. He is number 1 across the board for me. On FanDuel, we are projecting his ownership at 9%. I'll have double that if that holds. I'd like to be 19, 20, somewhere in that neighborhood. I love me some Drummond tonight. Blake Griffin, 9,200 on FanDuel, 9K on DK, $39 on Yahoo. He is 5th, 2nd, and 2nd for me. Love me some Blake as well. Now, he's getting the ownership on FanDuel, double the ownership of Drummond. So I don't think that I'd be soaring over the field for FanDuel, but I like being there with them at 17. On DK, he's 2nd for me, 14% ownership. I assume that I would come in higher than that. I'd probably be in the mid-20s for Drummond. Or for Blake, excuse me. And then Yahoo, just load him up on both. You'll feel pretty good about it. What else we got? Reggie Jackson, I think, looks fine on DraftKings, 4,600. 21% expected ownership, though. Keep an eye on that. I don't see a ton of utility in getting him at that number. So I would actually want to come in under the field, but I think Reggie Jackson works for a nice cash play, not necessarily the best GPP play at that ownership rate. And then, the other Reggie Bullock, continues to soak up minutes on minutes on minutes. I'd say avoid him, except for on Yahoo, where he's $11. Otherwise, there's nothing else here for me. Stanley Johnson hometown narrative. No, thank you. Would I play Drummond and Blake together? Probably not. It's a 10-game slate. That makes it really difficult to get both of them to hit what you want. I don't have an aversion to it completely, but I'd have a really tough time doing it with this many options out there. It's just not. They're priced too highly. I mean, you're looking in an optimal world on FanDuel, at least. You're looking for them to hit 114 fantasy points together. Is that crazy? No, but it's really tough. Ex Cossack, he might do well, but he's got to be on the damn court. I've got him in for 16 minutes right now. So that's it. Not gonna lie, that one took longer than I expected, but I was feeling good. I was enjoying the talking. This is the best I've felt in a couple days, so I'm happy about it. So here's what we should do. Now that we are at the end of the show, I'm gonna switch back to the Adam look. I ship. Not here. NBA strategy promo code 50% off at any package at awesemo.com. We are brought to you by Thrive Fantasy. So, let's take a look at some Thrive props. Thrive is running a free roll. We'll take a look at that. Where's it at? Boom. Won't cost you a cent, anybody. Not a dime. Now, you could go to bit.ly/Awesemo. Link in the chat. You can go there and sign up. $10 on $10, $20 on 100, and $50 on 200 if you're looking for a promo. Or you could just play this free roll and check it out. We've got some props here. I'm going to go through my favorite 5 for the day. I like to do the ones, at least on the show, where it combines a couple of things. So, who stands? Okay, first one we got to do. Points, rebounds, and assists. James Harden, over under 47.5. Chat, participate in this with me. Whoa, Woj bomb? Real Woj bomb? Cantor Zach Randolph trade. Interesting. Knicks and Kings talking there. I'm sure the Kings would want Cantor. Makes sense. They don't have centers on their roster. They should definitely get another one. Anyway, 47.5 is the number. Chat, get your answers in now. James Harden. Points, rebounds, assists. The line is 47.5. Over, under, even action. Guys, I have James Harden. Hold on, let me refresh this. I have James Harden point, rebound, and assist at 59. Projected for a line of 40 real points on the dot. 10.9 assists, 8 rebounds. Get him. The number one prop right here. I've got it by 12. Get him, get him, get him. Get him. Kevin Drayton, you cannot get more for Cantor. He's Enes Kanter. No one wants him. Why would anyone want Cantor? God, I can't do this right now. More Thrive props. Nikola Vucevic, 26.5 points plus rebounds. 100 on each side. The line is 26.5. I have Vooch at 31.7. Give me the over. I'm with you guys. Easy over. Now here's one. CJ McCollum. 28.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Even action on both sides. This one makes me a little nervous. The line is 28.5. I have CJ at 27.3. So give me the under on CJ McCollum, points, rebounds, and assists. Not as firm as the James Harden one, but I like it. Let's go to my boy Blake Griffin. Or let's go to Dame first. Damian Lillard, 24.5 points tonight. You get 85 for the over, 115 for the under. This one's interesting. I have Dame at 26 fantasy, or 26.8 real points. So I have him over by 2 full points of this line. Is that enough to combat only getting 85 points for the over? This is where the trickiness comes in, because clearly I think Damian Lillard is going to get the over. But at 85 points, you need the over to hit more than 57.5% of the time to be correct for taking the over. And you have to weigh that with whether or not people are taking the over or the under. So this one feels like about the right line. I would probably walk away from that one. Final prop. Which one looks best? We'll do Blake. 26.5 points. You get 110 for the over. Blake Griffin, 110 for the over. Whoop. Just points. We've got him in for 26.5. The line is 26.5. Give me the over because of the additional points. You get 110 for the over, but I hit that one on the nose. What a way to go out. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. We went pretty long as a solo show, hour and a half plus. Appreciate you joining me. NBA Strategy, again, is the promo code 50% off. Check out Thrive Fantasy, running a $25 free roll. Running a $25 Awesemo free roll, so check that out as well. We'll have the deep dive from Laffy in the early afternoon. Deeper dive, ship my money. Adam and Laffy should be here 4:45. Adam resting up, taking some meds. He just mostly sounds terrible. Wasn't going to be the most appealing show for the ears, so hopefully a couple hours I'll let him rest that voice. Live before lock tonight, Eddie Fear, Chris Spags breaking it down from 6 to 7. I will be on DK Live's The Sweat Show tonight, doing 2 segments. So bounce back and forth between that and the Awesemo show. Leave them both open, though. Don't drop that viewership on our show. That one's more important. But check me out on DK. And then what else do we have? Ben and Jason tonight from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock doing a live before lock for the Sony Open that locks tomorrow. If you haven't yet played any DFS golf and you're interested in doing so, I would be remiss to tell you that there are still 300 seats available in a $25K guaranteed tournament on Yahoo. No rake. So if you're looking to dip your toe in the water, it is a $20 buy-in. But if you want to do a little bit of a golf sweat, I don't really mess with golf all that much. But if they're going to offer the no rake tournament, I am in. So I have maxed out this tournament. I am playing some golf this week. So I will be not only producing the golf show tonight, but I will be tuning in as a guy that wants the info, because I'm playing some golf. I think that's where we're at, guys. It's a good day. It's a nice Wednesday slate. Join us in Slack chat if you're a premium member. We'll be around all day. I'm bouncing out to a dentist appointment in an hour, but I'll be back quickly after that. Otherwise, best of luck to you. I'll talk to you guys again in the morning.